President Nimiri says he's declared martial law because the enemies of the state have become too active. The question is, which enemies? He has many in this divided country, the largest in Africa. The political situation has gone from bad to worse in recent months, and the Sudan is now much as it was when Nimiri came to power 15 years ago. Initially, he was successful, concluding the Addis Ababa Agreement, which united North and South and put an end to 17 years of civil war. But recently disaffection has revived, because last September Nimiri decided to impose Islamic law on the whole country to placate the powerful fundamentalist Islamic Brotherhood. This reignited hostility between the Arab North and the black Christian South, because in practice it meant the introduction of macabre justice, such as the public amputation of thieves' hands. This appalled moderate Muslims like Sadiq al-Mahdi, leader of the powerful Ansar sect. He was the loudest critic. Nimiri promptly imprisoned him. The economy of the Sudan is in chaos too, with $9 billion of foreign debt, the equivalent of the entire gross national product. The oil exploration that was Sudan's main hope for foreign exchange has been halted by guerrilla warfare in the south. American, British and French employees have been kidnapped by rebels. The military wing of the Sudanese People's Liberation Movement have claimed responsibility. They fear Nimiri's declared martial law in order to give the army complete freedom to put down rebellion.
I firmly believe that President Nimiri is not normal. In the last 5 years, I should think maybe 6, he has suddenly become a very good Muslim, fanatical, in fact, a fundamentalist. And he imposes this Islamic law, which is really an insult to the rest of the country. And he dissolved the Addis Ababa Agreement, which ended the war between the North and the South. And he dissolved the regional government, dissolved the regional parliaments. One really wonders whether these are decisions of a sane person.
Charles Meynell is the editor of the journal Africa Confidential. He believes Nimiri's days are numbered.
I would say that he's really fighting for his political survival. He has really alienated any political group within the country of any significance. He's alienated the Muslim Brotherhood on the one hand, which was, I suppose, really the only organized political group in the country. He's alienated the Southerners, of course. There's practically a civil war going on. He's found it very difficult to get any group of people whatsoever together. So he's had to resort to Machiavellian tactics, for which he's quite well known, in order to create a sort of situation in which he can call a state of emergency, for example, in what I would say is a last resort.
To add to his internal problems, President Nimiri claims he's threatened by other African states because of the Sudan's strategically important position between neighbours with expansionist ideas. The prime suspect is Libya and Colonel Gaddafi to the northwest. Ethiopia and Colonel Mengistu threaten the southeastern border. The Nile waters, which rise in the Sudan, are vital to Egypt, and if Libya or Ethiopia threatened the Sudan, Hosni Mubarak would be forced to intervene. In Saudi Arabia, across the Red Sea, King Fahd would have to act if such a near neighbour as the Sudan was invaded. Last month, Nimiri accused Libya's Colonel Gaddafi of bombing a Sudanese radio station at Omdurman, a broadcasting centre for anti-Gaddafi dissidents. The Americans immediately sent AWACS planes to Sudan, and Egypt sent troops to bolster Nimiri's regime. But not everyone is entirely convinced that Gaddafi was involved.
The bombing was carried out, probably in the final analysis, by a Libyan plane. On the other hand, there were many reasons to suppose that it could have been a put-up job, encouraged, if not directed, by the Sudanese themselves. But it was very convenient for Nimiri, even if it was a Libyan plane, and it seems to have been a Libyan plane, because it enabled Nimiri to invoke the Charter of Integration with Egypt, which has a military clause to it, so that the Egyptian troops did indeed come into Sudan pretty swiftly. So yes, indeed, it was extremely useful for Nimiri in order to create a sort of situation of semi-panic, if you like, which would distract people from the manifest internal difficulties he has.
Despite President Numeri's insistence that he needs American and Egyptian aid to support him against Libya, these countries will now have to decide whether they can justify continued support of a regime that's generally regarded as a dictatorship.